Hello, welcome to Empty Nest Creations. My name is Wendy. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'll be bringing you 3 thrift upcycle projects. These are all basket projects. So I'm taking some thrifted baskets and turning them into cute spring decor for your home. So let's jump into project number 1. For this first project, I picked up this little basket. It's about 6 inches long, so it's really small. And I'm just taking some fusion paint and giving it a good dry brush. So I'm going to dry brush the entire basket with this white paint. This is a 3-in-1 paint, so it's got a primer and a top coat built in. So this is perfect for this type of project. And I'm just putting a little bit of paint on my brush and then dabbing it off onto a piece of paper so that I just have a little bit of paint left on my brush. And then I'm just brushing this over the basket, and it's just hitting those high points and leaving some of that dark color underneath. And I'm going to do the sides, the bottom, and then I'm also going to do the inside of the basket. And with the dry brush technique, this paint dries really quickly. So once it's dry, we'll be able to move on to the next step. All of these projects today are spring, Easter inspired, getting ready for the spring season. It's been a little cool here in Alabama, but we have had a couple of warm days, and it won't be long until we have flowers blooming and all of the pollen that comes along with that. So once I have this painted and dried, I'm just going to use a little floral foam and glue it down in the bottom. And this is going to just lift this little bunny up so that he's sticking his little head out of the side of the basket here. And I'm just going to cover that with some moss. This is some sheet moss that I've had in my stash for quite a while. And I'm just going to glue that down and tuck it in the sides. And then we're going to just add a little hot glue down here to the bunny's feet and glue him in the basket. If you enjoy thrift flips and upcycles, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. I try to post a new video at least once a week, and they're all about thrift upcycling. So here I have these little pit berries. They're in all the cute pastel Easter colors, and I picked these up at the thrift store for, I think it was $1.99 for the bunch, and I got 2 bunches of these. And so I'm just trimming them off and just adding them to the back of the bunny. And this little bunny was also thrifted, and it's got the cute little bow in the color pink, and then some like blue and green flowers down at the bottom. So it matches those little pit berries really well. And now I'm just taking this greenery that I picked up a bag full of this greenery at the thrift store for just a couple of dollars. And so I'm just cutting it down into small pieces and just using this as kind of a filler in the back of the basket. And I'm using just a little bit of hot glue to get this to stick down into that floral foam and into that moss that we put down there to just hold this all in place really well. I felt like he needed a little bit coming out the front, and so I'm just using that little plastic knife to help me stick that down in there, and the glue will help it to just kind of stick to that moss that's down there. This was a super simple project. I'm going to come back in with a couple of more pit berries and add them to the sides and just kind of fill this in. And then this project will be complete. So this one was super simple. I'm going to add a little glue to his front feet to just make sure he stays in place. Let me know what you think about this one. This one was just super simple and super sweet. A quick and easy upcycle for a tiny little basket. And let's move on to project number 2. So for this one, I had this wire basket, and it has these nice big openings on the side. So I'm taking some floral foam and I'm just going to cover it with that sheet moss. And I'm trying to use some tools because I don't want to burn my fingers. And this Ryobi hot glue gun gets really, really hot. So you'll see me try to use some tools, and eventually I just give up and use my fingers and just try to be really careful to not burn myself, because it was sticking to everything. I tried to use that silicone cup and it just stuck to that too. So I'm just going to try to be careful and not burn myself with this molten hot glue. I wish they would redesign this glue gun and allow you to turn the temperature down so that it doesn't get so hot. It will melt things, and it steams. The glue gets so hot. But that's good for some projects. I fiddle around with this for a little bit, but I want to get it good and covered, so that you don't see any of that floral foam sticking out the sides of the basket. And so there you could still see a lot of that floral foam. So I'm going to go back in and just add some more of the moss. So let me know in the comments below, are you already decorating for the spring season? We are heading into the month of March, and I know in some areas of our country it's already warm. We have had some warm days here and some cold days here in Alabama. We fluctuate back and forth well into March, but we'll have some days in the 80s. All of our plants get really confused this time of year. So once I have this good and covered, then we're going to start adding some things to the top. So I have this cute little, these are some chicks, and they're on this little swag, and I thought these would be really precious in here. I'm not sure what these are made out of, but I just thought they were really sweet, and they're perfect for spring. And so I'm just going to glue those to kind of the middle of the basket. And then we're going to add these little ferns to the back. And just create a really sweet little display here. Everything in this basket is thrifted. So I thrifted this greenery. And the thrift store is a great place to find florals. You just have to look and think creatively. So this little bag here is a bag that I got that's full of little flowers. And some of these fern pieces didn't have a stem on them. So I'm just cutting some of that stem off of those other flowers and attaching it to these ferns to be able to stick them into that floral foam. And so I'm just cutting off a small little piece and then adding it to the bottom of those leaves and sticking it in there. So when you go to the thrift store, look at the wreaths and the flower arrangements that you find there. And, think about what it could be. If you take those off, how could you use them in a different way? Sometimes you'll find bags of floral pieces that you can just take apart and use in in arrangement. So these little pink and yellow flowers were in that bag that I had. And it was just full of little floral stems that are, smaller flowers. And so I'll use these on the back part, and then I took these others that are a little longer, and I'm just using those to kind of drape over the edges of the front of the basket to just fill that front in. So all in all, this probably cost about $6 for everything that I used here. Everything, like I said, is thrifted. Now, I had this little wood tag, and I'm just going to give it a coat of paint. And I'm painting the front and the back of this. And we're going to add a transfer to this little tag and hang it on the front of our basket. So once that's dry, we're going to use the Emily Claire transfer from IOD. This is one of the new releases for spring. And if you're interested in purchasing any of the new IOD products from the spring release, you can find them on my website, emptynestcreation.com. And so I'm just using this little one here and applying it to this tag. And so you just lay it down and rub it with the transfer tool and then start lifting that plastic. I'm sorry that this is not completely in the frame. I have a new setup for my filming and I'm still getting used to it. And my camera keeps getting shifted into the wrong space. But it was super easy to just transfer that on. And then I'm just going to use this piece of ribbon here, and I'm just tying it to the top, and then we're going to tie it to the front of our basket. This sheer ribbon I thought was really sweet for this little basket. So you get a bow, but it doesn't take away from the floral design of the basket. And so I just tied a little simple bow, and I had to fiddle with it quite a bit to get it to hang and lay like I wanted it to. But this is just like a shoestring bow. Super simple. And then once I get that tied, this project is complete. And I really stink at tying bows, guys. So let me know what you think about this one. I think it turned out so sweet and cute. I love those little chicks in there. This is perfect for spring. And now we're moving on to our final project for today, project number 3. So I had this little bunny, and it was all white, but it has this little rose wreath going around its neck. And so I decided to add a little paint to those roses and the leaves. And so I'm just using some DIY paint here. And I'm just going to give it a very light coat of this pink paint on the roses. And I'm not going for full coverage here. I'm just kind of almost dry brushing it onto those roses. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the leaves. Just giving them a little color. And just bring out the details in this little bunny. And then once that's done, I'll set that aside to dry. And we'll move on to decorating our little basket. So for this basket, I'm going to use a little wreath here, and I'm just going to add some of these florals. Now this came from that same bag that I picked up at the thrift store. And I'm just going to go around and I'm just sliding these in. Some of them had long stems on them, and so the ones that had the long stems, I'm just sliding them into that wreath. and going all the way around, and then I will go back and fill in with the other ones that didn't have stems on them. And I'm going to use a little hot glue on these and just fill in those empty spaces in the middle, making sure that this is nice and full, and that all of our florals are kind of going in the same direction around this little wreath. And then I'm going to use a little bit of wire and wire this down to our basket. This is just a tiny little melon basket that I picked up at the thrift store. I paid just a couple of dollars for it, and I thought this would be really sweet on the top. And then, of course, once the season is over, you can just take this off. I'm gluing some of those flowers down to make them stay where I want them. And we're going to add a little floral foam to the center of our basket. First, we're going to seal in that paint. So because I used DIY paint, I did want to go in and seal it. And I just coated the entire bunny with liquid patina so that it would have the same sheen all over. It is matte, but it does have a slight sheen to it. And so we're just going to cover the entire bunny, coating it really well, and let that dry. And then we're going to go in with the floral foam, and we're going to add this to the bottom of our basket. And this is just to lift our bunny up a little bit. And then I'm going to come in with some moss and glue that down to that floral foam. I just wanted to cover the floral foam up. And so then I lay that moss right down in there and just make sure it's covering up all of that foam. And then we're going to add our bunny to the center of that basket. And I'm just using a little bit of glue on the bottom there and setting it down in the center of the basket. And I thought this turned out so sweet. Super simple project. And it's all ready for spring. Let me know what you think about this one. Please leave me a comment. I love to hear what you guys think about my projects. Let me know if you're getting ready for spring at your house. And I really appreciate you spending time watching my video today. And I'll see you all in the next video.